strap in, because these might be questions that you're asking about blanking out in the middle of your speech. So here we go. First one I have is it okay to admit to the audience that I lost my place? Yes, admit it, own it. It doesn't matter to the audience that much. To be fair, sometimes if you try to sort of recover it and meander around it, the audience, they're not stupid. They know something's up because you were in a flow. You clearly lost your flow. Your voice changes because you get tense. Sometimes you're better just to go, you know what, I've just lost what I was talking about. Let me just retract a minute and go back. And owning it is sometimes better than just trying to power through and sort of everybody seeing you flounder about trying to recover. So yeah, no problem. The audience really don't care if you say that you've lost your place. You know, they're there with you. They're supporting you. You know, they will chuck along. It might relax you. So yes, own up to the audience. There's not a problem with that. They won't mind at all. Next question. What if I get really nervous after blanking out and can't calm down? Well, yeah, that might happen. Because what happens as soon as you blank, your anxiety comes as fast as possible. It rises so quickly. We need to calm you down. How do we do that? Well, what are some of our anxiety handling techniques that we would use before getting on stage? We use them again. Take a really long, deep couple of breaths. Slow your breathing down and remind yourself, this is normal, it just happens, it's okay. You can do that in your head while even trying to speak. Your brain can, funnily enough, do a couple of things at once. I know that from a lot of experience. Try grounding yourself. If you really are feeling very nervous, you could always put your hand on a podium or on the microphone stand. Do something that helps ground you to the ground, to a solid object. It will help you feel a little bit more relaxed. And I say, just taking a sip of water, something like that, give yourself a moment. It might feel, a pause of 3 seconds feels like 30 seconds on stage, but really only feels like 3 seconds to an audience. Sometimes they don't even notice that you've paused. So yeah, just take a moment, take a deep breath, ground yourself, because it will help you calm down. Should I memorize my speech to prevent blanking out? No, absolutely 100%. Do not memorize speeches. Why? Because I know some people would promote memorizing speeches over what I promote in, basically, if you memorize a speech, you can still blank out. It doesn't solve the problem. When you memorize a speech, you can lose your way. And to be fair, is worse, because if you can't remember what comes next, you can't remember the rest of the speech because you've forgotten, in that moment. What you want is to be very familiar with your speeches and not have a problem with notes. I don't understand why people have such an issue with you having notes. It's not a problem. I mean, I've got notes here. I've got the questions in front of me. Okay, so we don't want to memorize our speeches. It makes them wooden, a bit stale, and you can easily still lose your place. Can I practice recovering from blanking out? Yeah. Have a backup plan. Go through it beforehand. Pretend that maybe you've forgotten your next point. What would you do next? And maybe try to invoke that anxiety, like we said, by practicing in front of other people. That will really raise your anxiety levels, making it more likely that you might forget something. Then you can have a live blanking out and recovery practice, because if you're like me, practicing in front of one person is worse than practicing in front of a whole, or giving the speech in front of 100 or 1,000 people. So for me, that would invoke that anxiety and I probably would stumble somewhere, and that is a brilliant way of getting that practice done. How do I stop thinking about my mistake after my speech is over? This is one that I have. That inner voice, I did a blog post on this recently, that inner critic that tells you that you suck, and you remember that little word you stumbled over? Everybody saw that. That was awful. Something I've used that really helps me is I voice record my speeches. Because when I get down from the platform or the stage or wherever I was speaking, I go sit down, or afterwards driving home, my head is going mad, telling me how terrible that last speech was. Every and every trip over every word. You forgot to put that bit in. And when I listen back a week later to what I did, it was fine. It was a good speech. It was enjoyable. It was easy to listen to. All the things that my brain was telling me that I did wrong, I didn't. But I only know that because I was able to listen to it back. And I'm like, oh, I didn't even stumble over that word that my brain was telling me that I did stumble over. So I can counteract that, because now what happens is when I sit in a car driving home and my brain is telling me you suck because of this, that and the other, I know I have the evidence that of the past that that's not true. So I'd highly encourage you to voice record your speeches so that you can listen back and build up your own self-worth. That way you can counteract that inner voice that tells you that there's something wrong. And you will always feel like your mistakes are worse. And you might have made a mistake. You might have blanked out. But you need to tell yourself it's normal. It's normal to blank out. It's highly common when you're doing something in front of an audience. The anxiety might cause you to lose your place. You still did it. If you spent 30 seconds because you blanked out, had to recover, getting back on track, out of a 15-minute presentation, that's 30 seconds. That really is. You might have done 14 minutes and 30 seconds of brilliant presentation. Don't beat yourself up over 30 seconds where you had to go and get yourself back on track. It's not important. You have to look at the positives rather than dwelling on the negatives. Can I use humour to help me if I blank out? Absolutely. Own it. We said that in the video, didn't we? Own your mistakes. If it happens, just laugh with the audience. Oh, blimmin' heck, I've lost my place. The audience will chuckle. That will relax you. When you get a little laugh from the audience, it really helps. Or you're just being honest. And honesty helps the audience as well. They connect authentically. They will not be judging you going, oh, well, he obviously sucks then because he lost his place. No. People relate. They go, oh, I hate it when that happens to me. And they've related. You've made an authentic connection. It's better to own it than it is to try to hide it. How can I avoid blanking out in the first place? A brilliant question. Practicing. We're not talking about memorizing, we're talking about practicing. Getting as familiar as we can with our material is the best way possible to stop this from happening. The more familiar we are with our material, the less likely we are to blank out. It might still happen. It's good to have strategies to recover from this if it happens, but we're less likely to blank out if we practice. I can't stress enough, you must prepare and practice your speeches every single time. I hope some of these questions were valuable if you're asking them. If you have any more questions, please pop them down in the comments. I'll do my best to answer them as well. If you found this useful, click the like button, the subscribe button. I'll catch you in the next video.